Thank God you're here, but fear not. I was already offended on your behalf. Today, while going through my privileged white male life, I went on the internet and I dug too deep. In this cruel world, I found a small beacon of hope in an unlikely place, Reddit. Our community didn't enjoy the hand fate dealt us, let alone others, and now we fight for a new one. We've thrown away our lives, we've cancelled our families, friends and partners, because our Reddit community, we stand for something greater than ourselves. Regular people are sheep, and the sheep follow the shepherd, and the shepherd follows ideas, and we're the community that rises above it. We've stepped through the line of oppression and taken command of it unless we're told to wear some chains. We understand this world has darkness, pain and hatred and prejudice, and we've taken it up upon ourselves to remove these things from society, and if that is imprinted onto human nature, we'll remove that too. A lot of people out here think they brain good, when in reality it's a pee-pee with erectile dysfunction. Ha ha ha! Don't worry, jokes about men are funny, but we would never offend our fine ladies. Our community motto is to laugh at the misguided men and clap for the guided woman. I'm a man, I'm misguided. I know we're a community on Reddit with 40,000 people, and many people tell us to stop, that we can't beat the patriarchy, that we're outmatched and outnumbered.
But if we don't try, then what the fuck is stopping us from just throwing ourselves off a bridge and giving up and saying, yeah, the planet is dying, the government hates us, the animals are leaving, the aliens aren't contacting us, we might be alone, it just might be you and me, but that's okay, because do you really need anyone else?
Together, we found these racist, cis white males wearing blackface, and we need to call their employers and cancel them. Someone has heard of this group before. They call themselves the Ku Klux Klan, and they used to use those helmets to hunt down runaway slaves 150 years ago. And companies nowadays just aren't even hiding how homophobic they are. I mean, could anyone be braver than the LGBTQ and the BIPOC community? I don't think so. But we're always correcting one another. Just look at this comment. Hey, just a note, OP, but I found this meme to be highly insensitive, sexist, and racist. This is because you've included a white male savior, virtuously covering what's portrayed as a weak woman. The role should be reversed, and the woman should be black or brown. I understand that you're trying to be an ally, but I find this highly offensive, and the way you idolize white men in your picture, and you should really be ashamed of yourself. And we really don't get enough credit because we're holding up world peace against Nazis, fatphobes, Nazis, and white people. And to back us up, we have our first mobility plus-sized Antifa battalion to sit down against fascism and fatphobia. And we all know the fascists will be no match for our rolling thunder. But also, I find your use of morbidly deeply problematic. Please use the term buoyantly plus-sized when describing people of cholesterol in the future. But we need them because January the 6th was the worst incident in modern human history. There is nothing that comes close to the barbaric acts that occurred on that day. Even people living in Denmark during the January the 6th onslaught, they had to huddle under their covers in fear. Everyone had a brush with death that day. By the way, just a quick reminder to all BIPOC folks to boycott Puma. They are a fierce white ring collective of chuds and oppressors, and if you wear Pumas, you are literally Hitler. And I just can't stand the hate this African American gentleman is getting daily on Reddit. Can we just have some love for him here? But we're always so kind. We always ask, if I start my own space company, would that be a cultural appropriation? Are you white? Then yes. I prefer the term colonizer, but yes. We also have people showing off their amazing outfits that they use in the protests. But this wise and humble commenter said, I think the opposite is the solution. Stop fucking white people. This will solve everything. And even better, white people should never enjoy the satisfaction of getting and receiving pleasure. Because we all know who the real heroes are. Don't worry, this was probably some monument for some silly war. The only war worse than is the war on January the 6th, 2021. I'm sorry, we're just saying things how they are. I understand that not many people would actually appreciate this, like this man right here, but He is absolutely a fragile white Redditor. Because on Reddit, disgusting transphobia from 2 front page subs, just no words. Mother of Loudham Country Bathroom, rapist blames victim, you're 15, you can reasonably defend yourself. Oh come on, the mother looks like she's been fighting her whole life. But we also love our passions, just look at the sewing we can do. Honestly, it's just so stunning and brave. Finally someone has the balls to say it. Say it loud, sisters, Arab! People in our community also go on interviews, just the interview with this brave and stunning model of anti-work that they did on Fox News is truly inspirational and smashing corporations. Just take that, Fox News. The anti-work revolution cannot be stopped. When our communist takeover is complete, life will be amazing. Reparations for everyone, except YETS, cis scum, and Christians, and anyone that thinks differently from my own personal beliefs. But we also have this auto-moderator who always corrects us and we worship it. But we're always trying to stand up for people. So this person wanted to show his solidarity to the BIPOC community by painting his face. We just need a BIPOC person to tell us if this is okay. But it's difficult because a lot of us cannot carry on right now. Can we just please ban cis women from women's sport? I mean, anyone who disagrees with that is obviously transphobic. Oh, and by the way, if you are a male watching this, can you stop working out? It's just a cycle of toxic masculinity that must be eradicated. Just look at this loser. I work out because I don't like being fat and I'm proud of myself for working out. It makes me so happy. But it's literally internalized fat phobia, sweetie. Nah, it's very simple. He is literally the problem. But we can't help ourselves because every time straight white males do something, it's always bad. We need to cancel them. Just imagine though being a straight white male in 2022. And people on Twitter keep stealing our activism. Turns out my wife has a rare recessive BIPOC gene. She told me how the science works, and when I saw she was black, nature is amazing. And look at this racist. Maybe she fooled around her husband's back and the baby is actually the mother's daughter? Look, I gotta make one thing clear. This is the real political diagram. You have the Nazis, the far right, the center, the left, and the far left. And if you don't know who the black guy in the center is, it's Martin Luther King. I mean, come on, just look at Elon Musk's racist dog whistle with Aryan youth haircut. I mean, he literally rose to power. Do you know who else rose to power? But praise be to those who come from our community. Just got back from the oppressor white people and Whoopi Goldberg protest in Portland. Felt cute and had to snap a photo. What do you guys think? Why are you white? But it was an Uno reverse because he was actually Jewish. He should have asked first. It was his own fault. But we always make sure that our children are helping to show their solidarity. Always make sure that your white-hoid children know their privilege. Elon Musk must pay for his crimes for invading our safe spaces. I mean, this picture means to me what the picture of a flag rise on Iwo Jima means to white supremacists. These warriors are the bravest heroes of our generation, literally laying down their lives on the line to stand up to the oppressive Musk regime. But I have to go now, but don't worry, I'm eating this cake to stand up to the patriarchy that is murdering women of size. What are you doing to combat that phobia? As a healthy 500-pound queen, I'm saying against hate by making a Christian baker bake a cake depicting a non-binary orgy. If he doesn't, I will sue. Yes. Say it louder at the back. Imagine being a victim of gun violence and having to drive by a gun store every day on your way to work. That's how I feel having to drive by Planet Fitness every day on my way to work. End fat phobia now. Bro, and look at this guy. Bro, what the fuck? Don't compare gun violence to bigotry is much more dangerous than gun violence. The goal of that erasure is genocide. I have science articles I can send you that will show you how people are healthy at any size if you're interested. And just one final shout out to you brave people. The least white women can do is to help the struggling BIPOC community. Still racist though. However, this might encourage them to go back to their countries. Another display of xenophobia by whites.
Conspiracy theorist.
She's good. She's great.
Rogan is the racist, sexist douchebag of the first order.
She's the wife of the best president that we have had in our lifetime.
Joe Rogan is a racist. Now I see why Republicans love him.
I've never voted right-wing in my life.
He's a total right-winger.
I want free college education.
Take it easy. He never has any real left-wingers on. He's constantly bringing on fake left-wingers.
Hello, Bernie.
How are you, Joe?
The radical right loves and lives for Joe Rogan.
I like Tulsi and I like Bernie. That's it.
Oh, yeah?
Everybody else can eat shit.
Look at you, fucking...
Supported by white nationalists, supported by bot trolls, supported by Russians.
Joe Rogan, I don't think has ever met a trans person until recently.
In fact, Eddie Izzard is one of my all-time favorite guests.
Oh, I love Izzard.
So he's really cultivating this narrative that trans women are indeed predators.
Joe Rogan's show is full of right-wing propaganda.
I think I'll probably vote for Bernie.
Joe Rogan is more of the bro portion of that conservative movement.
I don't give a fuck if they broke the law. You don't take parents and kids and separate them. You just fucking don't.
A chronic purveyor of right-wing hate.
I would like to spend more in taxes if they could fix inner city communities and take these poor neighborhoods and
We
throw a
spent a lot
fuckload
on
of them. Spend more, you fucking Republican piece of shit.
This is what Limbaugh used to say.
A chronic purveyor of right-wing lies.
87% of scientists said that human activity is driving global warming.
Rogan serves the same purpose as Rush Limbaugh.
I'm very pro-choice.
A modern-day Rush Limbaugh.
Women's rights, civil rights,
Conservative radio host Joe Rogan.
gay rights, trans rights.
A far-right influencer.
I'm even universal health care.
Just a full-blown conservative right-winger.
Open racism for years. If you like Joe Rogan, I am going to assume you are racist. Joe Rogan very much benefits the neo-fascist alt-right.
I can't recommend your book, Race Matters, enough.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I remember when I was on the opposite end and the channel would be like, begging like I am right now, and you just ignore it, like, next video. But then you become the creator and you're thinking, oh no, you take the time, take the time. I feel like I'm one of those homeless people outside Sainsbury's and everyone's just walking by me. Doesn't matter who they are, they're just like, ugh, yuck, or something. But if you enjoyed the video, it would actually help out a lot. And from here on, it's not going to be too funny. I really just want to make a statement, in a way. I have a strong suspicion that this could, it could be used against me by a commentary channel trying to find their brand new adversary. And I want a quick statement for the people who just want an extra take maybe, or want a bit of talking, or who really just want to come after me in a way. Especially as there are going to be people questioning what's going on, as I've criticised the right before, so you may have a bunch of people going, you were meant to be left-wing, what happened? But obviously this video is satire. I'm playing a character. This character, from my perspective, is a satire towards the left, and it's really a specific community within the left political sphere. Obviously both parties have their, say, black sheep, which is essentially an extreme faction of a political party. So for example, on the right side, it might be along the lines of the people who are pro-life, but they also want the people who had abortions to then go to jail. It would be like mocking those people. You're getting that small community, finding the little extremists in it, and then just mocking them. And really, because the point of this is to really just imitate them, in a really ridiculous way, put on and exaggerated, and sometimes you don't really actually have to. Because many people have a political lens where they'll basically see life through the opinions and thoughts and perspective of that lens first. So it's like they're not really seeing life. They have to bend their view in this strange manner. And this character, or the characters that people are portraying, basically have this thick lens that they bend through to see life. But one reason I did it was on the alt-left rather than the alt-right was, one, it was just easier because the Reddit page was there. Two, it's also way more common, and it's more identifiable, and because even if you look at, say, today's culture and society, or at least in my subjective experience, I believe it to be vastly left-wing. If you go look at any commentary channel today, it's left-wing. I mean, every single commentary channel that I can actually think of, I don't know a single right-wing one, or it may be impartial. You'll have someone like Penguin, who's very impartial. That's usually how I am. The only thing that you've ever really seen me truly defend is freedom, free speech, and maybe a couple other things, if I'm completely honest. That's like my main thing, just because it affects my art. I want to make ridiculous content, I want to occasionally make offensive content, I want to make all this type of content, and I want to be able to post it without it being removed, because it really, I'm not trying to send a message, it's really trying to have a laugh. So it just makes more sense to go for the, we'll say the bigger power, essentially, the one that has more influence. But
I mean, and the reason I do this as well is because as a personal example, and I think many have experienced this, I support the trans community, but I have my pushbacks. I don't particularly agree with the what the NHS has done recently by giving 9-year-olds puberty blockers. I believe that's too young of an age to properly consent to that. I think they're just too young. Their brain, frontal cortex, frontal lobe even, hasn't really fully developed to make a decision, and that's just for a start, right? But it's often a very grey area. It's very complicated. However, it's very common to talk to people about, say, this conversation, and they'll have this reply which implies in like the subtext of what they're saying, you're not left-wing enough, like you're not left enough. And that's, personally to me, has been incredibly common. I know it's a subjective experience, but I've been around a bit, so I want to say this is somewhat of a reflection of the objective. But so for me personally, it's really also mocking that social pressure that I often come about, which makes this art a bit more appealing to me. Because, and of course you could say in this video, I've done it, but you also have the opposition doing it, where you could say maybe I was painting the opposition to be worse than they are, and maybe that's what we're doing, but that's very common on both sides. You'll see that with someone like Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro, Elon Musk, where even you don't have to agree with them, but you do have many people who paint them to be much worse than they are. And they, like, when they hear about them, they just think, oh, these disgusting, all these like labels, just repeat the reel, just roll it out, and here's the scroll of words you have to call them, and you just end up thinking, man, this person's been bit. This person's been absolutely bit. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't agree with someone like Hassan on everything, for example, Destiny, all these other people, but I would never go out my way to say that these are the worst human beings in complete existence. It's like, I know someone who threw a spear at their boyfriend, or their fiance at the time, actually. So it's like, I look at it and I think, these are smart people. They're typically, I want to say, nicer to be around than a majority of other people. I really don't think they're that bad in the long run. Just because I don't agree with them does not mean I'm going to paint them as some sort of tyranny that needs to be sorted out. But because that's the thing, right? Because we really see many people, and even me, right? I stand with the left and the right on a variety of issues, and I typically go into any given subject and I land where I land. And as long as I have confidence on how I came to this answer, I personally don't care where I land. As long as I can actually, give someone the methodology and be like, here's the information I know about this subject, and here's how I kind of feel about it emotionally in a way, or basically here's my moral stance on it as well. And I'll be like, here it all is. Tell me where we differ in a way. So, for example, and just as an example of, the political lens maybe. So, for example, I'll stand with free healthcare. But if I mention problems about the NHS, that's perceived as me being anti-free healthcare, when in reality, I want the free healthcare, I enjoy it, I think it's a good thing, but I want these problems to be solved. I think if you have a free healthcare system like we do in the UK, the fact that it is so apparently falling apart is a really bad sign to the rest of the world, and we should make sure that's solved. And often there's, like, say, and I also hate the idea that there are many political discussions that no longer take place, despite them being very popular because of the heat surrounding them. Now, this is something you can experience on both sides. Personally, I've experienced it more on the left, but you have many people who, within their environment, may have also experienced that more on the right. Hence, this video just typically just made sense to me. That's all I can really say. But usually in this satire of a character, which is some people's lives, if I'm completely honest, and some people aren't very far off that I've met, you're expected to be and think alike, which obviously I'm heavily against. I think if to me it's kind of stripping someone of their character. It's stripping someone of their ability to think and their ability to be themselves, often by using intimidation, and I'm just completely against that. Hence, that's the reason already... Hence, that's what's kind of represented. You have, when you're playing this character, you have to be a spiral, essentially, that's completely out of control, and you're going after one another to see who's more left and correcting one another all the time. And if someone says something you disagree with, even if your claim is, you just paint them with labels at the end of the day, because it's clearly me. It's like a cannibalism of their own party in a sense. But to me, all in all, joking about extremism is fun. You should be allowed to mock it. Now, for common reason, people defend mocking, say, left-wing fascism or extremism. is because it's often involved with activism. But remember how I said you could look at the, say, the pro-life movement as activism? I could easily go ahead and go mock that part of the pro-life. But people be like, you're mocking our movement. It's like, I'm mocking this faction of it. And, you know, that mocking may have a small backlash on the community, but I'd also argue bad activism is worse. But I never see you calling it out. I'm making jokes, I'm trying to be funny, I'm not trying to be correct, I'm not trying to have any real deep meaning personally. But these people out there are making statements. You know, don't get me wrong, so I might have a backlash of causing more hatred towards said community, but I mean, those people likely already hated the community, and maybe by showing them that I can see the insanity of it, they may give me like a chance to express like how I actually feel about it, and they'll be like, oh, okay, maybe this guy's onto something. It's not all like insane. There's some good points that they are making, as an example. And now, you know, they'll feel more inclined to hear me. But usually when it even comes to this whole backlash argument, who's actually to understand all the like externalities of this backlash net effect? I mean, we're taking something that's pretty much objective and we're pushing this warped, subjective collection of that net effect that, you know, benefits us or benefits the argument, say, against that person, then manipulatively highlighting it, and I just think that's completely wrong, in my personal opinion. I'm just trying to think what else will people ask me about. Indoctrination. That's a good one. Both sides do it. What's your point? Usually those who complain about it are the losing team. I mean, I personally dislike it because I think in each political party there are just influential people pushing it on a very young audience in the hopes that, you know, for example, if you can go to a young audience and you can first make them be left or right, usually what happens with people is they'll stay that way. Very few people ever change teams, we'll say. It's like a football supporter in a way. If you support Man United, can you really see yourself moving over to Chelsea? You're like, oh no, I could move over to Chelsea, you know? That's kind of how it's weird like that. And you can't really ban it because it's very impossible for a start. It's a very weird conversation as well, because I personally question democracy when, you know, are people truly being represented in a sense, or is what's being represented is people's ability to truly socially engineer maliciously the public to gain votes? And that makes me question, are we representing the people or society's best manipulators? And it's very weird like that. That's why in the UK we have the BBC, and you know, it's held in very high regard. It's a strong independent news agency. It does have its problems. It has been biased here and there, you know, obviously, but it does strive towards being unbiased for this particular reason, because it's almost like a breath of fresh air. You're not, you know, it's like, I don't know, I think in the UK we are very proud of the BBC. Like, it's a very strange thing, but we're very proud of the, so we're not a big fan when it is unbiased, and when it is, biased, and when it is biased, it has been called out for it, and it has issued sorry statements. Recently there was a commentator who said something that was perceived as bias, and they had to apologize. They took a week off, I guess, to really be like, yo, maybe you're getting too heated. I don't even know, man, but I think we will do that. But yeah, so usually, I guess my statement or advice is usually just to look at everything, one topic at a time. Don't worry where you land. I mean, I have more respect for people who are more confident in the way they came to their answers, you know, because, you know, rather than the people who are confident with their answers because it came from their side. To me, that just is a lack of thinking. You know, it's similar to maths, right? In maths, you have to be more, the teacher's more interested in the methodology. So when I'm with like my friend and we have our maths homework to be done, like if our answers are different, I'm more inclined to ask you, how did one of us go wrong here? Can we compare notes, please? Because we're trying to give our maths homework into a horrible teacher. It was actually, I think his name was like Dave. He was one of the most brutal. You could get the question right, the methodology right, but he would pinpoint the finest of mistakes and then just yell at you in front of the entire class. But it did make me very good at maths at the end of the day. But overall, I mean, I recommend people try to just improve themselves rather than improve the world. I think in doing it, it has much more of a positive impact through the, you know, externalities of the way you behave. As an example, as I don't want to go too deep into this statement, I find religions where people who treat it internally to try and improve themselves to be, or really just have a more positive effect upon the environment of a world within the lines of their scripture, to be much more inspiring, kinder, and better people than those that treat it externally. And the difference, in my opinion, is one person is like reading you just Bible quotes all the time, and the other one is actually very inspiring to be around. You may not even know that they're, say, a Christian, a Muslim, or a Buddhist, and then all of a sudden they tell you, and you're like, Jesus Christ, I gotta look into it. You're like, I have to look into your religion, because if your religion is creating such a beautiful man such as yourself, I need to know more right now, because there's something I could get here. I don't know, I really find that to be a major characteristic along this kind of stuff, but I guess it's as surface level as I can get of it. I think it's because it's often hard to reflect, easier to blame the world, and it's like the path of like least resistance and least intelligence sort of like ordeal. But it is what it is. I think that's why I love passions, right? If you love cooking, then you don't have to tell people you should cook better. You cook a really good dish, you show them, and they're thinking, bro, you eat this daily? I'm like, damn right, I eat this daily. It's kind of that sort of thing. It's like, it's much more inspiring to go gym, and then someone looks at you, you're more upbeat, you're looking more like better physically, and they're thinking, man, maybe I should go gym. Because that's much more appealing than me having, I prefer the idea of inspiring people compared to controlling them. I think there's a much more hidden beauty in it. Obviously, there's probably a hatred towards political people in general. I mean, I have a joke in my 100 days special, right? Which I try to write a comedy special in 100 days. And the structure of the joke was essentially that you sucked at everything, you sucked yourself, but all of a sudden you're the political hero who knows what's best for humanity. I'd never have guessed. And, you know, I think rather than being intelligent-wise, kind-loving, or creating and doing amazing things, I feel politics can very much be a cop-out for many of this. You know, it's like, instead of doing something really great like producing and making people laugh or anything, I'm gonna have a great political view, and then I'm gonna pat myself on the back that I'm amazing. And that's definitely part of the satire in a way. It's like we're all a bunch of cop-outs and we just preach quotes, and we're not actually very inspiring, we're not very impressive, we're actually incredibly horrible people. But it's weird how politics works in a way, because it's a bit like any cult. A cult, you know, it's like let's just take Christians as an example. Obviously it's not this extreme, I'm just using it to make a point by exaggerating it, and it's not on the level of politics, don't get me wrong, but it's that sort of open acceptance. It's like, hey, you might burn in hell and not be a good person, but if you're not with us, and we'll remind you of that consistently, but if you join us, we'll say you're amazing, you're on the right path, blah blah blah. And like an idea that almost consumes through exploiting people's vulnerabilities, such as like wanting to be accepted or feel some sort of worth. And I think at that point the structure of that system in the same time is simultaneously creating a reality to like increase those people's vulnerabilities such that they can be exploited more easily. It makes like a really good system inflow, right? Not that, not to say that Christianity does that, it's very offensive if I say any religion does that, but it's probably more culty, and politics is more culty. I do kind of agree with the statement that, in a way, how people were very religious in the past, that actually got substituted for politics. Like, we have always been very religious, we just changed our religion to politics, and at least it's like that for many people. You know what's very strange, reading the BBC recently, where I think there's currently a US vote going on, or midterm election, and you'll see it like, they'll use quotes as if it's a warfare. They'll be like, on the battleground there's been a heated struggle. I'm like, whoa, okay. They got to take control of these areas. Hold the line. I'm like, my God, calm it down, son. It's like, it's not that deep. It's not that deep. Anyway, I'll leave it there. I hope this stays up. I think it's funny, or at least I died laughing reading it. Of course, the page is questionable content. Just be there for the humor. Some people, I think, even post, like some of the posts you see are like, oh, like, that's quite bad. And then even worse, sometimes you laugh at it as well and you feel a bit awful yourself. But treat it as people trying to be funny. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. You do get awful content posted, but usually that is a left-wing group coming out and raiding the actual page. So they'll go and get in these weird groups and they'll raid the page with this blatant, disgusting posts that aren't even jokes anymore. They're just like horrible statements in a way. And if the idea is that they're going to go get that subreddit banned, which makes it very interesting when you think, oh wow, when reading it, the worst things ever posted have been posted by the left. Like, that's very strange to me. But it is what it is, right? Have a good one, like and sub, whatever. I'll catch you next time.